Merry Christmas, baby. Reindeer's coming out to play. Santa Claus is packing the presents, making sure you...
Hi and welcome back to my channel Mum and Mrs and Me and to our Vlogmas series. Today's video is going to be a list of grottos in and around London and the surrounding areas. I apologise if you are elsewhere in the country, but you know that a Christmas grotto would be a really expansive list if I was to cover all areas, and I actually only want to share ones that I can highly recommend, that I know of, that I've been to, and where you can get late availability, because let's face it, if you have not already booked your Christmas grotto slot, most of which are coming out as early as the summer months, in July, August, September, it may be too late. If I'm honest, I have been very last minute in previous years and I've always managed to get something. So I'm going to give you a list of options in and around the surrounding areas where I'm based. And, you know, if you're not in London and you feel like you are coming over to London or coming down to London from elsewhere in the country or abroad, then these are some options for you. Now, the first one is Hamleys have done a collaboration with the Ritz Hotel for the first time this year. I'll speak to you more about the Hamleys individual grotto, but this is a very special collaboration that they're doing this year. They have turned one of the suites in the Ritz Hotel into sort of a winter wonderland and Christmas grotto experience where children get to meet Santa in one of the finest hotels in London, and it does come with a gift from Santa as well. So if you want to go really high end and have a really luxurious experience for yourself and for your child, then you can check that out. I'm not sure whether or not there'll be any availability at this stage, but this was the first year that collaboration took place, and it'd be something to look into because it's likely that they will continue to do that or something similar, whether it's with the same hotel or with a different hotel in the future. The second grotto on my list is the Hamleys grotto. So Hamleys is where I was always taken to as a child for Christmas grottos. I used to get taken with one of my best friends at primary school, and her auntie used to take us every year, and it was a really magical and exciting experience. The great thing about Hamleys is, one, it's one of the most wonderful toy stores in the world, but it's right in the heart of London's West End and along Regent Street, where you've got the most beautiful London lights. They've got loads of like angels with their huge wings, and it's one of the prettiest streets in London at Christmas time. So you get to incorporate that experience into there if you go in for a later slot in the evening when it's actually dark outside. What you can get at Hamleys is an experience with Santa where you can have a Santa's breakfast, where you sit down and Santa comes around, interacts with the children, you have something to eat, you get a present as well. I think they do a grotto experience that's not as a breakfast, where you just go in and meet Santa as well. So check out the Hamleys website and see what it is that they've got on offer. The next thing is Fortnum Masons. Fortnum and Masons usually do a storytelling Santa session, and they do a few of those throughout December. These slots go fast. What I would do is I would follow some of the mummy bloggers who are on Instagram and pages like that, because they usually give you notifications. They're usually invited to special previews, and they'll give you reminders of when these tickets are going to go on sale. Alternatively, if you are really keen to have an experience in any of the grottos that I'm mentioning today, you need to kind of sign up to their newsletters and get notification emails, etc., so that you are in the know as soon as those tickets go live. I would always suggest checking for late availability, or to see whether or not sometimes, just due to popular demand, they put on some extra sessions closer to Christmas and throughout December. So don't give up 100%. It could be sometimes that you go into the store and you just ask the elves to see whether or not there are any spaces or any availability that day. I have had experiences where I've just been cheeky and asked if there is any availability on the day and have been actually able to get a slot. So don't give up hope or don't panic if you haven't got your tickets yet. Fortnum and Masons have a storytelling session with Santa. It comes included with a gift in a little goodie bag, and it's a really lovely experience to be in central London and and you can make a bit of a day of it. The next one is Duke of York Square put on some lovely festivities in and around King's Road and the surrounding Sloane Square area. They usually set up a grotto in the middle of Sloane Square or along Duke of York Square. And back in the day, I'm showing my age and how old my children are, my oldest child is, the Duke of York Square grotto used to be free. You do have to purchase tickets now, but they are still really quite flexible. You can go up to the elves and see whether or not they have availability on the day. We went last year to the Duke of York Square grotto and we'd missed our time slot just because we got held up in traffic, and they were able to slot us into the next available slot. There's not always going to be that flexibility, so do obviously try to get there on time and meet your slot. Try to book in advance so that there isn't any disappointment with your little ones. But you usually go in with a group of people to the Duke of York Square in King's Road grotto. It's usually a cabin style hut. It's quite magical inside. Santa will tell a little bit of a story, speak to all of the children, and then each child has an opportunity to have their own individual picture with Santa, and they get a little gift at the end as well. It's usually a storybook or a soft toy reindeer or something like that. But in terms of having your Christmas experience and then being able to go and do some shopping or go for a nice lunch, I do highly recommend the Duke of York Square / King's Road Grotto. This year, a new winter experience is called Wishmas. So Wishmas is based in Waterloo, and it's an immersive and interactive experience with elves. There's storytelling. I think there is an experience of Mother Christmas where you go into a Christmas kitchen and then you finally get taken through to meet Santa and have your own Santa experience as well, where you get your photo and your traditional gift. There was lots of advertising about Wishmas, but it was also a little bit hush-hush. You wasn't really sure what you were going to get. It was advertised as the most magical Christmas experience that was coming to London this year. Now that I've seen people post on social media, people aren't really disappointed. So in terms of trying out something new that's really immersive and interactive, that would be one that I also recommend. Next one I'm going to mention is the Harrods Christmas Grotto. So I've been to the Harrods Christmas Grotto twice or three times with my older children, not with my younger children. Now, you used to be able to get slots for the Harrods Grotto just literally by being a Harrods Rewards member, which is absolutely free to sign up to. Harrods have a rewards card so that if you ever shop in Harrods, you get a point for every pound that is spent. And that wasn't linked to the grotto in any way, but you would be signed up for their notifications, and then you'd be notified when tickets for the grotto were going to go on sale, and then you'd be able to apply and book that way. Now, they did have tiers, and they would prioritise early ticket purchasing for rewards members who had spent lots of money with them, you know, all the way down. Now, I'm not someone who shops in Harrods all of the time. I usually pop in there around this time. You'll see my recent Harrods at Christmas video, which I'll link down below for you if you haven't seen that, to pick up a few Christmas treats in either the toy section or makeup and beauty, things like that. By no means am I shopping in Harrods as if I'm just not doing that. And what's happened now is over the years, just because of the popularity and just because they want it to be as exclusive as possible, they are only opening up their grotto offering to rewards members who have spent more than £2,000 in the past year. So between January and December, if you've spent £2,000 or more in Harrods, then you have access or the opportunity to book into their grotto. Now, the grotto experience, based on what I experienced in the past, it is really lovely. It's a lovely experience. You get a really good quality gift. The Santas look really real, and they make it as magical as an experience as you possibly can. How do I feel about them making it so exclusive and based on the amount that you've purchased? I understand the popularity and the demand, but the system that they had before seemed to work, where they tiered it and different people were able to access it no matter what the price point was or how much that they had spent in the shop. Now it's become so exclusive, it's very unlikely that you actually even get a chance to go and see it. But I will mention it here because there may be people watching who have spent £2,000 or more in Harrods. If you've treated yourself to a nice handbag over the past year, for example, you might have enough points to book. It may be that over the next year, you are planning on buying a handbag. If you are planning on buying a designer handbag that goes into the thousands, I would recommend having a look at signing up to the Harrods rewards card, purchasing on that, because then you do get all of these additional benefits and extras, and you also get money back onto your card as well that you can spend on other things in the store. So it's not a complete write-off, and just thinking ahead for next year, if anyone was planning on a large purchase, you could link that in with you getting your Grotto tickets for next year. The next one is Selfridges. So Selfridges used to do a really magical Grotto experience where the beauty hall is now. When my son was about 4, he's now 23, so we're talking 20 years ago, they used to set up this whole Grotto Winter Wonderland experience in the middle of the beauty hall. And when I say it was quite huge, there was like a train that you used to get on that took you through a magical winter wonderland forest, and then you got off the train and then there were elves in a snow cave, and you went through this whole experience until you got to Santa. It was amazing. And over the years, it kind of dwindled away until it stopped. Now that they've got the children's toy section and the toy department on the 4th floor, they integrate quite a few winter and Christmas experiences in throughout the festive month, throughout December and November, and they now offer a breakfast with Santa. These tickets go quite quickly. Whether or not there's any availability, I'm not sure now. This guide is coming a little bit later. I think next year I'll try to do this a bit earlier on in the year, but it's about giving you inspiration so you know what's out there, and that if you want to get ideas for in the future, or if you want to check for late availability, you have the option to do that. But they offer a breakfast with Santa rather than a Grotto experience, and as a part of that, you have your own table, you book for each child. Santa comes around, you have a bit of an experience with Santa photo, and you get a gift as well as a lovely breakfast. So that's an alternative option if you want it to be slightly different from the traditional walk into the grotto, sitting next to Santa and taking a picture that way. The next one is John Lewis. John Lewis have a lovely Grotto experience. You get notifications if you're a John Lewis and Partners member and you've got a John Lewis rewards card. If you're just signed up to their emails and you don't have a rewards card, they'll let you know when the Grotto is opening or when tickets are going on sale. They do this throughout lots of John Lewis's across the country. It's not just the London stores. So if you have a John Lewis local to you, or a John Lewis linked store, then I would suggest that you have a look. Go straight onto the website. All of the websites for the grottos that I'm mentioning will be linked down to those, that you can do your own research and see whether or not there's any availability. So the next ones that I'd like to mention is Westfield London and Westfield Stratford. Now, I've been to grottos at both of these over the years. These are two that I have gone to very last minute when I haven't been organised to book in advance. And they're both have been very magical experiences, and I've been a few times to the Westfields one. So sometimes they are very interactive, and they, you wear 3D glasses and you get taken on an immersive show where you're flying through the sky with Santa and his reindeers, and then you get passed on to a slightly different section and there's a whole load of elves and you've got a little bit of a workshop to do, and then you go through to something else and then you meet Santa and have your photo. The year that Mason was born, 2018, we were just doing some Christmas shopping in Westfield Stratford, and I went up and asked if there was any availability at their grotto, and they let us in, and we went through a Santa's workshop, and they had all of this machinery, and the snowflakes you can see in the background on my tree there, proper wooden snowflakes that all the children ended up having a machine that created a personalised wooden snowflake for them. So Phoenix, Mason and Zane all got one, and then we all went through and met Santa. One year at the White City one, it was a very beautiful traditional style Santa's grotto cabin, and you have the option of getting lots of different photo packages, little ornaments, key rings, snow globes and all of those sorts of things. Always be prepared to spend a bit extra in terms of purchasing your images or any other memorabilia that's associated with your Santa's grotto experience, no matter where you visit. You can check to see whether or not the picture's included in the price that you pay, or whether or not there's an additional cost, so that you're prepared and you know when you get there what it is that's expected of you in terms of taking away a keepsake, in terms of photo opportunity. Some of the grottos are really modern now. They take a digital photo, they ask for your email address, and they literally just email it to you, and it's not an additional cost because they're not printing anything, and it's not, in any special frame. They allow you to use it digitally so that you can use it on your social media or print it and phrase. And in the Westfield one, I've had traditional printed photos and digital options as well. So have a look in advance to see what is on offer. Winter Wonderland is obviously a yearly experience that takes place at Hyde Park. It's now a ticketed event. It has Zippo Circus inside it, a whole host of funfair rides, roller coasters, festive experiences in the ice dome and all of those sorts of things. And there is a Santa's Grotto, and you used to be able just to kind of queue and visit Santa. I think that might be how it is now, but again, check out the website and see whether or not there are any options for adding it to your ticket so that you've got a slotted time slot, or whether or not it's a sort of queue to view experience for the Santa's Grotto. So if you're heading to Winter Wonderland and you want to tie up and wrap in your grotto experience with that whole day out, that is something to look into. London Zoo has a fantastic Winter Wonderland festive experience or festival that goes on throughout December, the end of November to December, where the zoo is made to feel very festive with lots of opportunities for festive experiences dotted around the zoo, as well as a grotto experience to meet Santa. Grotto experience, I think, is included in the price of your ticket purchase, but again, that is something you need to look into. And if you wanted to tie in a zoo experience, then that would be your option. So the Thames Rockets boats that go up and down the Thames, you can usually pick these up from Westminster Pier, and they take you all the way along the Thames, past the London Eye, through Westminster, up through Tower Bridge, London Bridge, etc., all the way to Greenwich. And along that experience, you get lots of sightseeing opportunities. And on weekends throughout December, they also throw in a visit from Santa. So you could go a day out to Greenwich and maybe go to the National Maritime Museum or Greenwich Park, or down to Greenwich Market. There's a grotto at Greenwich Market as well, actually. So you could have a whole day out experience, and then on the boat, on weekends throughout December, Santa appears and you get a bit of a meet Santa experience too. So if you wanted something a little bit out of the ordinary, where you tie it into other festive things that you do that day, the Thames Rockets, which you can pick up from Westminster all the way to Greenwich and back if you want to do Santa experiences on weekends throughout December. London Transport Museum is one of the museums I will mention. This is a free grotto experience as a part of your visit to the museum throughout December. The Transport Museum's fantastic. It's very interactive. It's really interesting to see the trains, the cars, the buses, and all of those sorts of things. And then tying that into the festive feels that it gives when you meet Santa there is a really good way to have your grotto experience, as well as an extended day out. Covent Garden, where the London Transport Museum is right now, is really festive. They have a huge Christmas tree in the middle of Covent Garden Market, and on the hour, every hour, it snows by the tree. So they've got like a snow machine by the tree, and so you can stand there and be, you know, in your own winter wonderland. Okay, so every hour on the hour it snows in Covent Garden, and the London Transport Museum is literally right in the heart of Covent Garden. So that could be a whole festive treat for you and your children, your family to enjoy. In Camden Market, along where the food stalls are, they are creating a festive winter wonderland, and there's going to be a grotto set up in that area along by the canal as well. So that would be something to check out. If you're a foodie and you want to go and try out all of the different food stalls, you might even want to go for a day inside and visit somewhere like Babylon Park, which is an indoor theme park in Camden, very close to the food market and where the grotto is going to be set up. So if you want to extend your day a little bit and give the kids something else exciting to look forward to, you could also visit Babylon Park, which is a token-based indoor theme park experience. When you get there, you buy tokens to try out all of the rides and the experiences, the arcades, etc. They've got bowling as well as a soft play centre inside as well. So if you're in Camden, you could do your grotto, you could try some great food, and you could go to Babylon Park. Final central London grotto I'm going to mention is at St Pancras International Station. Sharky and George, which is a fantastic children's entertainment company, have partnered with St Pancras International and have set up a grotto experience at the station. Now, a couple of years back, Sharky and George took over the Duke of York Square grotto experience along King's Road, and they did the grotto experience themselves. And it was magical. They created a winter wonderland in an indoor space along King's Road in a sort of empty shop. There was a Father Christmas, there was a Mrs. Claus, there was opportunities to ride a sleigh and take photos. There was arts and crafts involved, your own personal picture with Santa, and Pippa Middleton was sitting next to me with her little boy at the time, and I didn't actually realise until I came out of that experience. But what I'm saying is that it was a really lovely, interactive, immersive, and a really good Christmas experience. Some of the best Christmas Grotto pictures I've ever taken was at the Sharky and George event, just because of how real Santa looked. And I got so many comments that year on, gosh, you actually met Santa, because the Santa and Mrs. Claus look so realistic. It's sometimes a little bit disappointing when you walk in, see Santa, and you think, oh God, you just look like a right state, which has happened in the past couple of years. We went to Chessington World of Adventure this year, and I'll put our picture up on the screen, and they have a Winter's Tale experience on throughout the end of November and throughout December, and it's really festive. We stayed over at the hotel, had a bit of a safari experience, explored the zoo. They had a post office set up with loads of elves and an opportunity for children to write their letters to Santa. Then they got to post their letters to Santa. They had another festive experience, immersive experience, where you walked through this enclosed experience, and there were lots of actors dressed up of different animals, whether it was a winter squirrel or a badger or I don't know. And along the way they were interacting with you as a family, asking you to post their letter to Santa and to take it to the post office, and you got lots of little treats along the way. And I got a huge bar of chocolate, and the kids got little sweetie treats and things like that, and it was very festive and sparkly and really magical. And then the grotto experience was a complete winter wonderland with loads of white snowy trees that you had to walk through, and then you meet Santa in a little cabin, and it was all very magical. But our Santa did not look the realist, although the kids didn't seem to care or mind, and the picture's really nice, so I'll put that up on the screen for you. So that was at Chessington. But yeah, I was talking about the Sharky and George one at St Pancras International, and so I've got quite high expectations for that one. So if you want to check that one out, where you're likely to see a really realistic Santa Claus, that would be one that would be high on my list of recommendations. I'm going to mention a few grottos in Kent now, because that's an area surrounding London. Fenwick in Canterbury, the department store, has come highly recommended in terms of the Santa's experience. Fenwick is a really lovely department store, and so I expect that their grotto experience will be really lovely. Hever Castle in Kent will also do a really lovely Christmas experience. That's in a very traditional, beautiful setting as well, and so I imagine that would be really magical. Santa's Lodge at Ashford Designer Outlets. If you're doing your Christmas shopping and you're trying to get a bit of a discount and you're heading to Ashford's Designer Outlet, they have a Christmas grotto there. So if you're bringing your children along with you, that would be a great day out in terms of shopping and getting your discounted designer goods, as well as allowing the children to see Santa. I'm going to mention some farms, and the farms that I'm going to mention now are scattered across London and the surrounding area. So we've got some in Surrey, some in Hertfordshire, London, and where else? On the Sussex-Surrey borders as well. Okay. This one is a local city farm. So Vauxhall City Farm, which is a free farm to enter. It's a small little farm in the heart of Vauxhall. It's opposite the primary school I used to go to, and we used to just go there after school because it was on the doorstep. Still a lovely little farm, and has a Santa's grotto, which I think might be free. So please have a look into that. Godstone Farm. So Godstone Farm is along the Surrey-Sussex borders, not too far if you are in South London or Croydon area. It's a brilliant farm for younger children as well. They've got a fantastic adventure playground, as well as a brand new indoor play barn, and the Christmas experience there is always really good. They create a bit of a wonderland, a little bit of a walkthrough, and you get your experience of Santa, your photo, and all of those sorts of things. You can make a full day out of that. Bockets Farm in Surrey as a grotto. They have fantastic indoor and outdoor soft play areas, a huge lovely slide that you can and play in indoors. Really lovely farm animals. It's a really lovely day, and they're offering a grotto experience at Bockets Farm too. Denbies Santa Express, which is at the Wine Estate. This is in Surrey. If you want to go posh, you want to do a bit of wine tasting and allow your children to see Santa in a really lovely environment, then I highly recommend that. That will be linked down below. Priory Farm is a lovely farm. They're offering a Santa's Grotto as well. So that will be linked down below. Priory Farm are offering a really immersive experience where you go on a bit of a train ride or a tractor ride. You get taken from different parts of the farm. You have a workshop with Mother Christmas. You have an interactive show with the elves and a little bit of a sing-along, and then you're taken off to see Santa. So that was actually going to be our booking for this year, but I did a last minute birthday trip with Mason, our youngest, for his 5th birthday to Chessington World of Adventures, where we had a stay at the hotel there, and it happened to be that the grotto opened the day that we went. So we've had our Santa experience, so I didn't need to book Priory Farm, but Priory Farm would have been my choice for this year, and that was where I was going to go. What I will say about the farms is they put on really good Christmas shows. If you want the most magical experience, I actually would head to one of the farms. They really go large, they go big. All of these farms that I'm mentioning because if you look at their winter experience, they offer quite a lot. It's not just a walk in the room and speak to Santa. It's lots of different stations. There's train rides around the place and all sorts of things happening before you meet Santa and you leave with your gift. Ticket prices are higher than the normal farm experience, but mostly I would say it is worth it. And these sometimes do have tickets left over because of the higher price point, not everyone's able to kind of do that, especially if you're like me and you've got more than one child. It can add up. So it might be something that for next year, it's something you save towards or that you plan for in advance. But have a look at the websites and just to get an idea of the full experience. Tulley's Farm. So Tulley's Farm is great. They usually do great pumpkin festivals and all of those sorts of things, and they offer a Christmas experience at this time of year as well. Again, they put on a bit of show and you have your meeting with Father Christmas as well. So that will be linked down below. Marsh Farm and Old Macdonald Farm are Essex-based farms. And again, in terms of the descriptions of the types of experiences, in terms of the show that gets put on, it's a whole production. They employ people, they employ elves and lots of different elements that go into creating a really magical experience for the whole family, not just the children. I would highly recommend those two Essex-based farms as well. Alexandra Palace, which is north of London. I think they said in the west wing of Alexandra Palace they're going to be, or was it the east wing? I can't remember. They're going to be hosting their grotto experience. Alexandra Palace is a high point where it is, and you get a fantastic view over London from Alexandra Palace. So it's just a really beautiful place to be and to have a grotto. Legoland Windsor. It'd be really nice to do a stay at the hotel if you could do. It's not too extortionate to do that, similar to what we did with Chessington for Mason's birthday. You can have the whole Legoland experience, and then the festivities are integrated into the experience in the theme park and an opportunity to meet Santa in his grotto. Willows Farm in Hertfordshire. This is a Peter Rabbit style farm, so they have lots of characters and interactions with Peter Rabbit and the characters from the Peter Rabbit stories. They've got an indoor play barn and an indoor tractor track, where little children can ride pretend tractors and race them around, do digging and all of those sorts of things. And obviously their winter's experience will be very popular and very immersive. You have to queue to see Santa. So if you've got a child who won't queue, that's something to think about. My 6-year-old who's autistic just won't deal with queues. In many of these grottos, they will have either send options or send slots, or at Chessington, they had a disabled access queue, which was significantly shorter than the main queue for the grotto. You had a general time slot, but when you arrived at the queue at your time slot, that time slot had also been given to lots of other people, and then you queue to see Santa. Whereas when you have the disabled option, you go to a completely different queue, and there is pretty much next to no wait. At Willows, which I was going to book last year, I contacted them because I couldn't see any send options, and my friend had been a few weeks before and she warned me about the queues, and she was like, I don't think Zane will wait in the queue. You need to double check if they've got any slots or whether or not they let send children in at a specific time slot without having to wait. And when I contacted them, they said they didn't have any offering for send children or families. So that was a little bit disappointing. So if that's something that you need to consider about whether your child will wait patiently in a long queue to see Santa, Willows, you need to be careful with that, although it was meant to be a really lovely experience. Audley End Miniature Railway was one of my favourites. So Audley End Miniature Railway is a miniature railway based in Essex, and they have lots of themed experiences in and throughout their estate where you meet lots of people along the way. There are lots of characters and things, lots of photo opportunities, and you go on this train in and around the grounds, and you get taken to a stop where you meet the elves and Santa, and there's a little bit of a production and a performance, and then Santa and his elves come along to each carriage, interact with each family. You have your photo taken by the elves with Santa, and then you stay on the train, and then the train takes you off back through the forest and all of these sorts of things. And then there's a play area and there's food. They set up stations where you can create reindeer food, write your letters to Santa, and do lots of other things that are linked to the Grotto experience as well. So that was a really lovely experience. And finally, just your local shopping centres. So local to us, we've got Croydon, Whitgift and Central. We've got Bromley Shopping Centre. I've mentioned the Westfields and things like that. If you are at your wit's end, look at your local shopping centre, and don't dismiss the shopping centre Grotto experiences, because actually they're really quite good. They're really interactive, really immersive, lovely friendly elves, lovely Santas. Photo opportunities are usually included in the price. They're reasonable in price, and it means that whilst you're out doing your shopping or your bits for the day, you can incorporate that, because we all know that this is a really crazy busy time. And whilst it would be lovely to always have an opportunity to have a whole day out that is devoted to, these festivities, it's not always possible. Like I said, I have been the mum that has been very last minute and gone up to someone in the shopping centre and said, have you got any spaces, please? Hoping and praying that they say yes. And on some occasions they have, and on some occasions they're like, no, you need to book in advance. So I appreciate that we are already into the first week of December, and you might be thinking, well, this is a little bit too late. But what I'm hoping here is that this has offered you inspiration for maybe the years ahead, or last minute availability, inspiration and ideas, and other ideas about how you can kind of create a festive day out, even if you don't see Santa, by going into London and the surrounding areas, experiencing or exploring some of these places, whether they're the farms, the shopping centres, places like Fortnum Mason's, or the toy department at Selfridges. Because sometimes just by looking around and window shopping and hanging out in these places for the day, you end up having a really lovely experience. So that's my Christmas grotto guides for 2003, but also inspiration for 2004 and the years beyond. I'll try to do this a bit earlier next year. This is about my own organisation, guys. But I hope you found some inspiration here, that some of these ideas are helpful to you. And comment down below if you do book any of these, and let us know what your experience was like. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, and I will see you in my next video.